If I was only going to live off of $1,000 a month, where in the world would I live? In this video, we're going to dive into that. So if I had $1,000 a month coming in, whether it was through Social Security or maybe I had an online business or some type of location independent income, there's a few countries that I would choose just based off of ease of life, cost of living, and a few other factors. So the first place that I would live would be Mexico. Now, the reason why I would choose Mexico would be for a handful of reasons. The cost of living in Mexico is getting higher, but you can definitely still live off of $1,000 a month. There are many people in Mexico living off of half of that, even families living off of $500, $600 a month. So you can totally do $1,000 a month if you live like a local. So a few reasons why I would choose Mexico starting off would be number one, same time zone as the US. So contacting people back home, or even if you have to do calls, you do some type of work in the US, the time zone is very useful. I've been in Southeast Asia before, and that's a little tricky. You're like 12 hours ahead of people, so it's hard to get in touch with people back home. But in Mexico, very easy. The time frame is pretty much the same. Also, in terms of flying back to the US or Canada, you're pretty much only a 3 hour flight, no matter where you are in Mexico, to get back home. Now, talking about the visa situation in Mexico, very straightforward and easy. If you've ever been to Mexico and you're from, maybe the United States or Canada or Europe, every time you land in Mexico, you're going to get 180 days visa free typically. And that is a huge advantage if you're only living off of $1,000 a month and you don't want to do visa runs. That could be a very useful tactic. You only have to leave the country once or twice a year. They give you 6 months visa free, and you can really set up your roots and actually kind of build a lifestyle in Mexico. Also, another reason why Mexico is a great country if you only have $1,000 a month is that Spanish is the official language of Mexico, so it's very easy to integrate into society. If you just learn a few basic phrases, you can really get by. I mean, English is spoken in a good amount of places in Mexico, but if you're living like a local, you do need to learn a little bit of Spanish, and Spanish is not that difficult to learn. So if I only had $1,000 a month, I would probably choose somewhere inland. My choice would probably be Querétaro, which is a state in the central region of Mexico. If you're trying to live on the beach for $1,000 a month, probably not going to be possible in a lot of areas, considering the cost of living has gone way up. Don't think you're going to live in Cabo off of $1,000 a month, but if you're in, maybe Veracruz or somewhere like that, I think you could make $1,000 work, maybe even Merida. But for me personally, I think Central Mexico, Querétaro would be a good place. Even Puebla, there's not a lot of Americans in Puebla, so I think those would probably be my choices. But I think Mexico is a great country to live off $1,000 a month. There's still a lot of really good deals if you know how to find them and if you live like a local. But if you're looking for the American tourist spots, definitely not going to be able to live off of $1,000 a month. But that would be my first choice, would be Mexico. Another choice that I would choose if I only had $1,000 a month would be Colombia, but I think Colombia is definitely going to be, in terms of safety, it's going to be a step lower from Mexico. Typically, Mexico in the central areas, or if you are, in some places that are a little bit more touristy, it's going to be safer. Colombia, I still think is okay, but there is a lot of robberies that happen in Colombia, and it'd be a place that you'd really have to watch your P's and Q's, I think. If you have basic street smarts, you'll be fine. But in general, Colombia, it is cheaper than Mexico, so the cost of living is going to be less. But I think that you do have to worry more about robberies and just stuff like that. I think general safety is going to be more of a concern. But Colombia, like Mexico, is on the same time zone as the USA. $1,000 a month, you could totally do it. I've met people that live in Bogota for $900 a month. They live a very good lifestyle. So I would probably choose Medellin based on the nice climate, lot to do. They have good public transport as well. Food's cheap. You can get rent for $300, $400 a month. I think Colombia is a great choice, but safety is an issue, I think, in Colombia. Mexico too, but I don't think as much in Mexico. I think Mexico is a little bit safer than Colombia. Same deal as Mexico. You're going to be able to speak very easily compared to other countries. So if you learn a few Spanish phrases, you'll be fine with Colombia. I think in terms of Colombia with the visa situation, I think they give you 90 days. You have a chance to extend that visa, but you would need to make some visa runs, so that would be a little bit complicated. But $1,000 a month, you could totally do it in Colombia. This is a very affordable country on the Western Hemisphere. It might be one of the most affordable Colombia and Bolivia, I think, are very similar. It is going to be cheaper than Mexico, but that safety factor is an issue. The next country I would live in for $1,000 a month would be Vietnam. Now, I went to Vietnam a few months back and I absolutely loved Vietnam. I would probably choose Da Nang, Vietnam. I also liked Hanoi. I think $1,000 a month is totally doable. You can get a very nice apartment furnished. You can go out to eat all the time. You can get food for under $5 when you're on the street. Good lifestyle there. You are close to a lot of places. You have the Philippines, you have Thailand right next door, Cambodia. So I do think Vietnam has a lot going for it. In terms of the visa, you have to get an e-visa, and I think it's up to 90 days. So you would have to make visa runs. So that is kind of a challenge. Also, the language barrier is pretty steep in Vietnam. Vietnam is a country that only speaks Vietnamese, obviously, so that can be a challenge if you are living in Vietnam. But I think for the lifestyle, very good lifestyle, but you do kind of have to keep it moving. So if you're only living off of $1,000 a month, that can be a challenge. There is a lot of other affordable places in the region. So if you need to bounce around or do a visa run, you can totally do that. But Vietnam, in terms of the lifestyle for $1,000 a month, you can get a wonderful lifestyle. You can live in Hanoi with a ton going on in the French Quarter. You can walk by foot or cruise on moped. Same with Da Nang. I think Da Nang would be my choice. Personally, you got the beach right there. You have Hoi An close by. Tons to do. I just think the lifestyle in Vietnam is awesome. But the challenge is going to be the language. Safety is not a problem. Safety in Vietnam is very good. It's a very safe country. Probably one of the more safer ones on this list. But the challenge is going to be, like I said, learning Vietnamese, try to integrate into society a little bit. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. Also, the visa situation. You're going to have to do lots of visa runs every 3 months. If you can make it work, then that's fine. But it is going to be a little bit of a challenge. The next country on this list would be Georgia. Specifically, I would probably stay in Tbilisi, Georgia. But Georgia has an excellent visa. I think it's 1 year visa free if you're from a lot of Western countries. And that is a huge benefit. You don't even need to leave the country maybe once a year. And that actually, in the long term, that makes a big difference versus a 3 month visa run like Vietnam. Georgia, obviously, they have a different language. I believe they speak Georgian there as well as Russian. So you can learn a few Russian phrases, but that is going to be a little bit challenging. Cost of living, I think you could definitely make it off of $1,000 a month. Tbilisi is a growing city, good place. They have a lot of cafes and a lot of places where you can work. You have a few countries nearby that you can visit, but it is kind of a little bit isolated for my liking. You can cruise over to Turkey or, spots like that. It does get a little bit chilly in the winter time. So I think Georgia would be a good place for the spring and summer, but it's up in the Caucasus Mountains. So definitely winter times are going to be a little bit chilly. I have heard that locals are not as friendly as maybe other countries on this list. I know like Mexico, Colombia, and Vietnam. The locals are very, very friendly. Georgia, I've never been, so I can't say, but I have heard that they are a little bit more cold. Might just be the region, kind of like how culture is done there. But Georgia, I think, in my opinion, is an excellent choice on this list, especially due to the visa situation. And the infrastructure is pretty good as well. Next up on this list would be Albania. Albania also has a 360-day visa-free program for a lot of Western countries, and that is a huge advantageous aspect if you are coming from the West. You can pretty much come to the country and stay as long as you want, leave once a year. It gives you that Mediterranean vibe. They have a lot of nice beaches. Cost of living is very low. You can get a nice apartment for a few $100. Albania is kind of a little bit low key. It's still kind of unknown on the world scale, but there are more Westerners going there. But I definitely think you can live off of $1,000 a month. I've heard the safety factor is pretty good there. I would probably live in Tirana or somewhere on the coast. There is a lot of places nearby Albania, so you can cruise over to other Balkan countries. It does have a lot going for it in terms of its future potential. It's got mountains, it's got beaches, nice climate, Mediterranean vibe. Also, though, they don't speak a lot of English in Albania, so that would probably be a challenge. But I do think that for $1,000 a month, this could be a great choice for you if you're looking for a place that has an easy visa program and just good, quality of life. The last up on this list is going to be the Philippines. Now, the Philippines, I think it has a lot of potential. It is close to a lot of things in Asia. It's in the Southeast Asia region. It's on in the South China Sea. So you've got Japan on one side, you've got Korea, China, you have Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore. There is a lot of things in the region. I do think the Philippines does not have a real easy visa process. I think it's 30 days with a chance for extension, depending on what country you come from. So that's really the biggest challenge. I have heard that extending your visa is not crazy complicated, but in terms of cost of living, I think the cost of living is pretty good. It's going to be a little bit more expensive than Vietnam, but still very low for the quality of life you get. There is so much diversity in the Philippines. You can see waterfalls, beaches, mountains. I mean, you can go island hopping. There's a lot to do. I have heard that it is kind of the infrastructure is not as good as other countries on this list, but I still think for the quality of life for $1,000 a month, you can totally get a good quality of life. And there's a lot to see in the region, but the challenges are going to be definitely the visa process. I think that is a bit of a challenge. But in the Philippines, a lot of people speak English, and the locals are extremely friendly. So that really is a good thing if you are looking for a place of good community, beautiful beaches, stuff like that. But that is my list for living off of $1,000 a month. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If I had to choose one of these countries out of this whole list, I would probably choose Mexico just based off of all the things that I've listed. I think it's the best choice for a Westerner. It's close to home, and the integration into society is not very difficult. Vietnam is hard to beat as well. But that's my list, guys. Comment down below what you think. Really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you in the next video.